Ship Graveyard Simulator 2. Is it going to be a win or a bin? Let's have a quick read through of the description on Steam. Dust off your torch and hammer. It's time to get back to work. You have a new job to do. Visit the new beach coast with the largest, biggest ship graveyard in the world. Dismantle huge ship parts and collect tons of precious steel. Roll up your sleeves. It's time to get back to business. Now, on paper, this probably seemed like an absolutely terrible game. It's going to be crappy, clunky, really tacky, doesn't work, boring, all of those things. And yes, it is most of those things. But this is actually, I think, a decent enough game. But not necessarily because of the game itself, but because of the addictiveness of it and the satisfaction of what you do in the game. Now, of course, yes, that is the game. I'm not stupid, of course it is the game. However, it's not good, if that makes sense, but what you do in it has some sort of personal itch that it's scratching. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, I kind of get it. I'll try and explain more as I go through. So, as usual, I'm going to go through the things that I like first. So, visually, looks decent enough, and I'm putting that down as something good because it could look absolutely hideous. No, it doesn't look amazing, but for what it's trying to do, it does tick the box. It just creates a decent little beach area with huts and things. Not too much to do there, to be honest. There's your stores, there's your house, there's where you sell things, and the recycling centre where you get rid of all of your stuff you've scavenged, basically. But it does the job. There's loads of different tools that you can use here, and most of them, if not all of them, are actually available all the way from the beginning after you're through the tutorial. You can upgrade all of your tools, so you can make them more efficient, stronger, quicker, all of those things. So it's got a growth to the game. You can improve on what you have based on the starting tools. These tools range between things such as hammers to metal saws. You have a flashlight. You've got a blowtorch. There's explosives you can use for certain things, which is absolutely crazy. And you have a little rope thing that you can get up to high points, because as you go through dismantling your ship, some places become inadvertently inaccessible because of what you dismantled, and you might need like a swing rope to pull you around the ship, so you point it where you want to go and you kind of go up on it. It's like some sort of climbing accessory. It doesn't really display very well visually, but it's a good tool to have, and there's plenty of them, all upgradable, as I say too. So yes, this is a game where you dismantle ships. At the beginning, for the tutorial, you give it a very small piece of ship, and you can go through and dismantle literally all of it. You can take the hull apart, you can take the floor apart, you can take things out of rooms, and we're talking objects here, things that have been littered around. To get to various things, you might have to demolish a wall, you might have to take a floor out to get to another area. There's all sorts of things going on here, but literally everything is scavengeable by using your tools. I think if you played this long enough, you would end up with literally nothing on the ground. It would just be completely destroyable. I haven't gone as far as that, because not to win, but the whole point is to achieve certain contracts by obtaining certain amounts of things, whether that's source 3 clocks, source 1,000 kilos of plastic, or whatever it might be. But there's certain contracts that you get, but because everything is scavengeable, you do have to kind of work your way around the ship and identify what materials are what. You have a little scanner. If you hold it against the object you want, it tells you what that material is, because sometimes it's not obvious just from looking at it. And therefore you know to take it and chuck it on the back of your truck for storage, which ultimately wins you your contract money. Despite the fact it is a game about destroying things, it's very relaxed. There's no timer. You can take your time. You can look at things. You've got a day and night cycle, so when the night comes around, you put your torch on. Everything's really creepy and atmospheric, but it's just chilled. There's no pressure. There's no one hassling you to go quickly. Certainly at the stages I've been playing, just take your time, poke around, destroy things. It's fine. It's surprisingly addictive, in fact, and it is a bit of a stress relief just going at this great big metal ship with hammers and taking bits out. And what I really love is if you take out a wall or a floor, things around it, if it was supporting some other stuff, will just crumble around it and all fall down, and the sound is so cool, just crashing through this huge ship and banging around you. It's surprisingly addictive and is a stress relief. It's also a bit of a puzzler, really, because I fell into this trap a few times. If you take out a floor of a room that you might need to go across to get to the next section of ship, you've had it. This is where you might need to use your rope, but sometimes that got a bit fiddly, but that's fair enough. But you've got to be a bit careful what you take out, because you can really shoot yourself in the foot. If you remove something, mainly a floor, as I say, you could really be screwing yourself over in working your way around the ship. And as you're dismantling more and more of the ship, that becomes harder to keep on top of. But it's good to have to think about it. It's not as straightforward as just willy-nilly taking things out, like I did, because you're going to end up in a bit of a muddle. So you've got to think about it a little bit. It's not really a puzzler, but it's not a non-thinking game whatsoever. Things which aren't so great now, once you've obtained enough items, but just by doing your scavenging, the things which are on your contracts, you can go to the recycling centre. In recycling centre, you can sort through the things that you have. You can include the things that are for your contracts if you just want to get rid of them, or things that aren't part of your contract, so your excess. It's like a conveyor belt, and you have to rotate using, I think, your A and your D key, which bucket they go into, and it's literally 4 colours of buckets, 4 colours of items match the colour effectively. It's really tacky. It's like an arcade game. You get down the seaside or something. It's just a bit nasty. I don't know why it's in the game really. It just seems a bit pointless. I'd rather just have the money and say, yeah, I've earned that. You shouldn't have to do this sorting malarkey. The more money that you have, the bigger the ships you can buy, and of course the more resources on them that you can earn more money from. So the less money you have, of course, right at the beginning, you can only buy small ships. And I use the word ships in inverted commas because the cheap ships are only part ships. So the back of a ship or the front of a ship. The more expensive ships are complete ships. To me, it would make more sense if you're paying less money, the whole ship should be smaller. So if you're only spending a couple of $100, the ship should be a little tiny fishing vessel. If you're spending $1,000, why not have a big old oil tanker or something like that? But to have part of a ship for less money, I don't think is quite right. I get what they're trying to do, because obviously you're not paying much for it. However, I think it would be more fun, visually too, to have a whole ship. Visually, the game is very good, as I've said, for what it is, and it's lovely to go into the ship and just dismantle everything, and it's very atmospheric, and you get a feeling like you could really be there. But I want to rummage around in a whole ship, not half a boat. The gameplay is quite limited, so although it is addictive, it's a stress relief, and a bit of a puzzler, and it's quite relaxed, all good things of course, it is fairly limited in gameplay. Once you've done a couple of ships, as I have, you do get to the point where you think, well, you know, I'm just going to be doing the same thing again. There's nothing to unlock that I found. Yes, I mentioned the upgrades to the items and tools even, which is fine. It increases your efficiency. But in terms of what you do, there's nothing really else to it. So after a while, that would, of course, be a negative. Just to summarize the game here. Now, this is a tricky one to review. It's not a great game. It's not even a good game, you know. It's decent. It's got a lot of things to keep you interested. It's got that puzzle element. It's got that atmospheric element of being inside the ship. All of the items crashing down on you. When you call a crane in to pull out a big item from within the hull that you have to move, or you have to get rid of stuff around it, like the ceilings above it, before the crane can take the item out. All of the noises and things crashing down around you. It's really, really cool. It's a decent game. There's aspects I really like. There's aspects I don't like. And you're not going to get much more than 10 hours out of this. And the price, it's out now. Full price is actually £16.75. It's currently 12% off, 14 quid, just for a few days while it's just been released. I would say I wouldn't pay the full price of £16.75. I would go no more than £15. So the price as it is now, at the introductory offer, is okay. Have a go. Maybe just get your free demo or something, because there is a demo. Have a go, see what you think. If you like it, spend the 14 quid, get the full access to it. But yeah, decent.